Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to do a talk on guidance on how to have a healthy heart and what Islam teaches us about heart health. So I'm just going to start with a bit of dua. Rabbi shrah li sadri yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So my name is Tanzil. I'm a third year medical student at King's.
My name's Siam. I'm a fourth year medical student also at King's.
Okay.
And we're part of an organisation we started up called Masjid Medics. And so we started at King's from a bunch of medical students and combined with some students from other unis. We have like different mosques around London that we try and deliver talks to. And this is one of the first ones that so it started off mainly aimed at women, but we're trying to involve the men now, different mosques as well. And I'll explain today's agenda.
Okay, so in today's talk, we're going to talk about Islamic insights on heart diseases, what you need to understand about blood sugar and blood pressure. We're going to bust some common misconceptions and myths, and we are going to talk about how to be more consistent with your health and some sunnah tips for a healthier heart. So we'll start off with a reminder. Abu Hurairah reported, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the strong believer is more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, but there is goodness in both of them. Be eager for what benefits you, seek help from Allah, and do not be frustrated. If something befalls you, then do not say, if only I had done something else. Rather say, Allah has decreed what He wills. Verily, the phrase if only opens the way for the work of shaitan. And the source of this is Muslim. So from this we can take that it says here we have the strong believer is more beloved. So we therefore have a duty upon us to be as strong as we can. And a large part of us gaining strength is to be as healthy as we can. And how do we promote good health in our bodies? A big reason is down to what we eat. Okay, so there's three parallels of spiritual diseases in Islam and medicine. So the three come to overeating, oversleeping, and overthinking. Overeating is simply the idea of obviously eating more than you need to eat. Not only does this cause sluggishness in your salah and daily tasks, but it also causes your body and mind to adjust to needing more food and eating for comfort rather than sustenance. In Surah Al-Araf, it said, "And eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, He likes those who commit. He likes not those who commit excess." So soon you will need more food to be satisfied, and this will over time physically make your heart sick. Oversleeping in modern research is linked to a risk of heart disease and particularly weight gain. This is due to the imbalance of hormones in the body that may lead to hunger throughout the day, blood sugar imbalance, and higher stress levels. Finally, overthinking, which is relative to having an over-concerned preoccupation with the dunya. O you who have believed, let not your wealth and your children divert you from remembrance of Allah, and whoever does that, then those are the losers. Through the remembrance of Allah, our hearts find peace and relief from the worries of the world. Mindfulness in Islam prevents excessive stress and anxiety, which alongside depression has shown to increase blood pressure, heart rate, and the risk of cardiovascular disease.
So when you say oversleeping, so normally how many hours of sleep does a person require?
How many hours of sleep should a person have?
Yeah.
So I'd say absolute minimum, I'd say you need about 6.5 hours of sleep. Ideally, you should be getting about 8 hours of sleep a day.
8 hours.
8 hours.
Does it make a difference whether you're young or whether you're old or whether
No, generally the human body should be getting around.
Would require more or would they require less?
A teenager. You can survive on less, you could say, but it doesn't mean that it isn't harmful. So I've actually done some research into this just outside of this talk. They say like a consistency of poor sleep is one of the worst things you can do when your body is aging. Sorry, what did you want to say?
So people who wake up for tahajjud and all that, if they spend a lot of their time at night instead of sleeping, doing ibadah, and they don't catch up on that sleep, does that matter?
So what we would recommend is to adjust your time scale accordingly. So let's say you wake up for tahajjud, make sure you sleep at the time that when you wake up for tahajjud, you have had enough sleep. Or let's say after tahajjud, you've prayed fajr as well, depending on the time. So obviously fajr ends it's getting later again now, the time it ends. So you can time your sleep in a way that you're able to get enough sleep, then wake up and stay up. But let's say in the summer times, where Fajr is very early, then we'd say sleep a bit before and then sleep afterwards as well. And then you could leave that window for tahajjud and Fajr as well.
Normally, if you have 7 hours sleep, that should be enough.
7 to 8 hours, yeah, I'd say. And then the consistency is like trying.
That includes the siesta and afternoon. If somebody
Oh, like a nap?
can do that on that,
No, I'd say a nap is considered separate to sleep.
That's a separate.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So it's the most important sleep to have is like your deep uninterrupted sleep, which is when your body recovers, and especially as a child when you're growing as well, you need more sleep. One thing I found quite shocking actually is that like poor sleep as a child really leads to like stunting of growth and reduced development. It's a major factor, especially for children.
And with sleep as well, like you have 2 types of sleep as well. You have REM sleep and deep sleep. You don't choose which one you're in, but deep sleep has different benefits to REM sleep. And for example, if you're taking a nap, you will never go into deep sleep in that moment of time because it's too short. Deep sleep happens a bit later into your sleep. So both have different benefits, and it's important that you're getting both of them. Okay, and so the final spiritual cause of overthinking, that's relative to having an over-concerned preoccupation with the dunya. O you who have believed, let not your wealth and your children divert you from remembrance of Allah, and whoever does that, then those are the losers. So, through the remembrance of Allah, our hearts find peace and relief from the worries of the world. Mindfulness in Islam prevents excessive stress and anxiety, which alongside depression has shown to increase blood pressure, heart rate, and the risk of cardiovascular disease. So, seeking treatment for all ailments are encouraged in Islam, that's a disclaimer, and medicinal treatment is also a blessing from Allah. So there will be times where you will need to use these things, so we're not saying not to. So being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even when it comes to our eating habits, sleeping habits, and our mental well-being, is crucial to having a peaceful heart and a healthy heart. Next one. Verily, there is a piece of flesh in the body. If it is healthy, the whole body is healthy, and if it is corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. Verily, it is the heart. So you can see the emphasis of the heart in Islam. The heart is the one organ that when it is affected, then systematically all of the other organs in the body are affected. So type 2 diabetes is the leading risk factor for heart disease and is known to affect and be affected by every body system. We will go into this more as we go along. So obviously we touched upon it when we were doing the example of rice. So when you have a carbohydrate, in this form is given in an apple, the carbohydrate is broken down into something called glucose. Glucose is sugar, and then that glucose enters the bloodstream, and that's how your blood sugar will elevate. You're going to add. Are you okay? Cool. So what type of diet should we eat? So this is from the South Asian Eat Well Guide, and as you can see, it's portioned out different segments of the diet. So we know that food has a massive impact on our health, so it's important to be eating the right amount of foods, especially when someone has diabetes. Eating in moderation is encouraged in Islam and particularly important if you have diabetes. Food that have high sugars should be controlled, as we've already mentioned. So things like mishti, chocolate, and desserts especially, I know they're beautiful, like we love them, we look forward to them, but control when you're eating them and the amount you're eating. Even foods like rice and pasta, surprisingly, as we've mentioned already, can lead to having a lot of sugar. So these can affect blood sugar levels. Control your portion sizes. So as we said with the plates of rice what we're having. So all of this will help to manage your blood sugar effectively. And if you're a bit confused of like how to build your own sort of diet, you can speak to a dietitian who can help you give some like more specifics to what you eat and portion sizes in that sense. Change it again. Okay, so we're just going to start off with a little activity. So we have just some sort of regular snacks that we'll pick up every day. So for example, this smoothie, we'd think is quite healthy. It's got mangoes, passion fruits, apples. How much sugar do we actually think is in this smoothie, if we had to guess? All right. If we had to get a guess in grams? No, keep on them please. Okay, so this actually has 26 grams of sugar in it. So the normal recommended amount of adults is around 30 grams a day. So this one drink pretty much covers over 2/3 of your daily recommended amount. That's 26 grams. To put a visual in your head is around 6.5 tablespoons of sugar. So yeah, if you're drinking that, it's very likely to spike your blood sugar. The next one. Then a common, Asian snack, we all love our jalebi. How much sugar do we think is in that? You don't like it? I don't like it either, but my dad loves it. How much sugar do we think is in one small jalebi piece?
Pure sugar.
Yeah, that one, you'd be surprised because it's actually less sugar than the actual smoothie.
Oh, really?
So in one small, yeah.
Jalebi for breakfast.
I thought it was pure sugar. That surprised me.
It probably is pure sugar, but it's quite small. That's where the smoothie is just like a whole drink. But yeah, in one small piece, we have 21 grams of sugar, which is about 4 tablespoons. Yeah. Obviously, when you're having about 3 or 4 in one go, so you can imagine how much sugar that actually is. The next one, a staple in all of our households, I'm sure, tea and biscuits. Obviously, depending on how much sugar you put inside your tea. How much sugar roughly do we think is in tea and biscuits?
I don't think how much tea?
The biscuits. The biscuit choice is a very big thing.
A biscuit.
Yeah, so these are Fox Creams, which is a popular biscuit sometimes. So in just 4 of these, we have 25 grams of sugar. Again, you're pretty much hitting close to your total allowance. So for me, I used to have a problem with tea and biscuits. Like I used to have at least 5 or 6 Maryland cookies with my tea, and my tea would have another 3 sugars inside it. So I would do that every single day without fail.
I would demolish a packet.
A whole packet? Yeah, so there you go, of cookies.
Yeah.
It's a good combination though, isn't it? But recently I've changed it so that I've gone from having 3 sugars in my tea to no sugars in my tea, and it's fine for me. And I've changed the biscuit. The biscuit choice is a very big thing. So if you change from like biscuits, like sugary biscuits like these, to biscuits like malted milk, or like Jacob's Mini Cheddars, or rich tea, or digestives, these biscuits all have considerably less sugar. So, and they still taste really good. It can take a bit of adjusting to them.
Better not have a biscuit.
Yeah, because the other one, it gets too sweet sometimes, I find. But yeah, the next one, Siam, please. Okay, now in a mango, how much sugar do you think is in a mango? Any guesses?
Around about the same. About 20 grams.
20 grams? I'd say that's not that close. A bit high, even more.
Wow. Only double than 40.
46 grams of sugar in one mango. Now, obviously, we usually share a mango amongst the family, so you're not probably having 46 grams. But obviously, mango is different because it's fruit, and we should have our fruit. But what we're trying to say is don't overindulge in them. So when you're having mangoes, try and have them in small portions and at a relevant frequency as well, so your blood sugar levels can stay at a good level. Okay. So in a gulab jamun, how much do we think is in that?
They shouldn't count because they're really good.
I think all the answers to all these things are the same.
Yeah, but no, this one's got 60 grams of sugar.
Each in one piece.
One small gulab jam, 60 grams of sugar. I didn't even know that before I saw this as well. So that's crazy.
And it's fried.
Yeah, it's fried. Exactly. When I used to have, I don't know about you guys, I have 2 of these minimum as well. So obviously this is going to hit your blood sugar really badly. So, and then the common one here. Okay, so now I'm sure all of us have some sort of rice at home. I have rice and curry every day.
I love rice.
Yeah. So how much sugar do you think is in just a bowl of rice, like our normal plate of rice?
This size?
Yeah, roughly this size.
I would say it's around 40, 50.
So 10 to 15.
Around 20.
Okay, not bad guesses. So with this is different because it's not added sugars in the food. The sugars, the carbs are just converted into sugars. Does that make sense? So rice is a carbohydrate. The carbohydrate is then broken down into our body into sugars. So this actually equates to 6 tablespoons of sugar once it's been broken down. So what, and you
How
know,
many grams of rice is that?
this is 100 grams of rice, 100 grams of rice.
100 grams of rice.
Yeah. So I don't know how it is with each household is different. So in my family, when we have like rice and curry at home, we'll usually have around 3-4 plates of rice. So one of those plates is enough for a sitting, but I'll have that times 3 or 4. So we can imagine how much extra sugar we're putting in our diet for no reason. So it's something like my dad, he hasn't developed diabetes, but pre-diabetes, which is like the stage before. So we're trying to get him to get used to having less portions of rice, and it's important because I think it's one of the principal reasons why the South Asian community especially, a lot of them do eventually go on to have diabetes.
We have a lot of carbs in our diet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to quickly discuss what diabetes is. Does anyone here have an idea of what diabetes is? What is it? And how would you explain diabetes?
Well, if you lack sugar and your pancreas doesn't produce the insulin that's required to convert it to glucogen, and obviously you end up with more sugar and therefore it comes out in the urine.
Good. That's a really good description. Anyone else? How would you describe?
Probably go with that.
You're the same?
So that is one type of type 1 diabetes. That is one type of diabetes where the pancreas can't produce the insulin. That's type 1, which is
I don't know what insulin
more.
does.
Oh, okay. Which is more a genetic one, which you can't really control and develops at an early age. Type 2 diabetes is what we're focusing on because that develops later on in life and can be affected by lots of factors, including your diet. So insulin is a hormone, a chemical messenger used by your pancreas. And insulin is necessary in order to tell your cells to take up your sugar and for that to be used. So what happens in type 2 diabetes is that your cells no longer respond to that insulin, so it can't take up the sugar. What that means then is that you have so much sugar left in your bloodstream, and when you have high blood sugar that can lead to a whole host of problems that we'll explain later on.
So does that mean that the pancreas is defective at that point?
Not necessarily, so it can still be...
So we are producing enough insulin, and it doesn't have an impact on sugar?
Yeah, because of the cells that the insulin acts on, they have something called receptors. So what happens is the insulin binds to these receptors for insulin to have its effect. What happens when we keep overindulging and things like that, these receptors become less sensitive to insulin, the insulin isn't able to work as it should be working, and so our blood sugar remains high. Does that make sense? So we're going to talk about blood pressure now. So blood pressure is the force of blood being pumped into your blood vessels by the heart. High blood pressure is when there is increased amounts of blood being forced through the arteries. This can put a strain on your heart over time as it has to work harder and damages the arteries in the heart. Do we understand that? So if your heart is working harder to pump blood through the vessels, more blood than it needs to, it's going to strain your vessels. Your vessels can take a certain amount of strain, but again, if you're constantly straining them, you're going to damage your vessels. Does that make sense? Next. This next one.
So that depends on how much the blood vessels are partially blocked.
So it could be down to blockages as well, which could arise to many reasons as well. So a common thing with the heart, I'll go into it quickly, I don't want to go on a tangent too much. Has anyone heard of atherosclerosis? Yeah? Okay, so that's when essentially like your vessel, one of the arteries will get blocked somehow. Usually it's through a buildup of like cholesterol or something's just blocking the vessel, the lumen of the vessel.
So it's plaque build up on the
Yeah, plaque, there you go. Yeah. Good. Okay, so your ideal blood pressure should be 120/80. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test everyone's blood sugar using the machines here. So have you guys tested your blood sugars recently?
Yeah, I get tested all the time.
Okay, so
Mine is usually
blood pressure, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but daily. I do it myself, check it daily, so you can do it.
See, mine is usually 175. No, 115/75.
That's good.
And 60.
Okay, so you guys, alhamdulillah, that sounds
And
good.
that, this is
I would like to check mine.
You want to check yours? Okay, inshallah.
And I'm below that number.
You're below this number?
Below that number.
Okay, okay. This is considered high. So anything over this is considered high blood pressure, and that's where treatments would be used.
Oh, sorry, so that's what I mean by high pressure, not 120. That,
Yeah, as in high, 120, I showed them.
I don't know what it's like.
Oh,
Yeah, mine's below 120 and below 180.
yeah. Okay, so this is good, less than this, and then once it gets over this is where we start looking into treatments and things. So who wants to go first? Do you want to go first? So now, moving on, what should be your ideal blood sugar level? So fasting, so basically like before you've eaten, it should be below 5.5 millimolars per liter. And after a meal, the aim is to keep it below 7.8 millimoles per liter. What are high blood sugar levels? So a fasting blood sugar level of over 7 is obviously seen as high, and after a meal, anything over 11.1. So there's another unit called HbA1c. Have you heard of that too? Yeah. So if that level is between 42 millimolars and 47, then this means that it's higher than normal and you are at risk at developing type 2 diabetes. Okay?
I thought if you were within that range, you do have type 2. I thought below 42 was
So there's a level.
pre-diabetic, so below 42 is pre-diabetic, I thought.
Okay, I think it says here, it basically means you're at risk. So it doesn't mean you have diabetes. I think over that, then you have it.
Maybe I misunderstood that, yeah.
Okay, I'll clarify it more for you in a minute.
Okay.
So just to clarify on the HbA1c level, so 42 to 47, you said, what was your idea, pre?
Yeah, I understood that's when you become diabetic, so below
No.
42 is pre-diabetic.
No, 42 to 47 is pre. So we always said is you're at a higher risk of getting type 2 diabetes there. Above that, that's when you have diabetes. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, so we've got a story. It's called Aisha's story. So we're just going to go through that now. If you just play it. Does that have volume?
It takes great courage to admit our mistakes and share our regrets. My name is Aisha, and I want to speak about my journey of neglect and the heavy price I paid. In my 40s, my health started sending me warnings, but I couldn't hear them over the demands of my busy life. I made excuses, thinking that skipping doctor's appointments and ignoring healthy choices wouldn't affect me. I still remember that day in the doctor's office.
Aisha, your blood sugar levels are alarmingly high. You're at risk of developing diabetes. We need to take action now to prevent further complications.
I don't have time for all these appointments and changes, doctor. I'm managing just fine. If only I had listened to my doctor, embraced healthier choices, and made time for exercise. Perhaps I could have spared myself this agony. Perhaps I could have spared myself this agony. And my daughter Maya wouldn't have held my hand through countless nights in hospital beds. Only you had taken better care of yourself, Amma. We wouldn't be facing the suffering caused by your neglect. I know, my dear. I can't change the past, but I hope that my story can serve as a cautionary tale for others. I remember sitting in that dreaded waiting room in the ophthalmology clinic with large print posters all around me.
Your vision loss is due to diabetic retinopathy, Aisha. If only we had caught it earlier, we might have slowed its progression.
And not to mention the many times I struggled to walk with a cane into the...
Your peripheral neuropathy is a result of uncontrolled diabetes. With proper care, we could have slowed its progression, Aisha.
I can't forget the day I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I just remember clutching my chest, gasping for breaths. Next thing I know, I'm in a hospital bed, surrounded by beeping monitors. I just closed my eyes, and I just felt overwhelmed by remorse and sadness. Brothers and sisters, our health is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Neglecting it can be irreversible consequences. I don't want any of you to carry the pain and regret that I hold within my heart. It's never too late to seek redemption. Let my story be a wake-up call for us all. Let's prioritize our health, no matter how demanding life becomes. Let's schedule those doctor's appointments, make healthier food choices, and find time to exercise. Let us turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking His guidance and mercy in our journey towards better health. Brothers and sisters, let us remember the teachings of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He emphasized the importance of taking care of our bodies, for they are the amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our bodies are the vessel through which we fulfill our duties and worship our Creator. I can't change the past, but I can change how we approach the future. inshallah. And together we can support one another on this journey towards better health.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is the generational impact of your actions. So, for example, smoking, whether that be cigarettes, raw tobacco, vapes, shisha, these all cause heart problems, heart failure, heart attacks, and it also causes problems to your lung, where your lung is destroyed, and this can lead to lung cancer. Dietary-wise, risk of eating unhealthy oil, carb-based foods like rice, samosas. This can lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high heart attacks, and obesity. And then there's the risk of neglecting your mental well-being. This can lead to not you taking care of your diet. So you've heard when people become depressed, they indulge in foods, they just binge eat, they stay in bed and eat whatever they want all day. This can lead to becoming overweight, which can further trigger you becoming even more sad, more depressed, and it can affect the way you look at yourself as well. So in terms of diabetes, we said that one thing about it is that it can spread and it can affect so many different parts of the body. So diabetes is, one thing it can cause are foot ulcers. So believe me when I say this is actually change the picture. So the picture of the foot there. Sorry. So it can lead to foot ulcers. In the video they said diabetic retinopathy is retinopathy. Fat in vessels, it can cause a heart attack and a stroke as well. So it's also a very big cause of amputations as well. So a lot of people who have diabetes, they can end up losing a limb as well, usually the foot. Okay, so we have a picture of a foot ulcer there. So that's a very, very pleasant picture of a foot ulcer. Trust me, like in real life, it looks a lot worse, and it's a very, very painful. So this is a good picture of a foot ulcer. Have you seen a foot ulcer before? Oh, okay. It's really horrible and very, very painful.
I haven't seen foot ulcers, but I've seen gangrene toes. So people's toes have gone black, and need to be amputated as a result of diabetes.
So you have diabetic retinopathy as well. This can occlude the eyesight, and it can also eventually lead to blindness. Then obviously you have problems here, fat in the vessels leading to a lack of blood flow. This can cause things like high blood pressure, less blood to the heart, which can eventually lead to maybe heart attacks or strokes. Okay, so diabetes is not something that we should take lightly. We should do all we can to prevent it from happening.
How does it affect the kidneys?
So kidneys can be damaged by high blood pressure.
What sugar going through, would that affect?
That would affect the kidneys, but essentially kidneys are comprised of very small vessels. So if you have high blood pressure, those small blood vessels are going to be damaged. And then the kidneys regulating your fluid, that's also going to get messed up. Do you have anything to add? Okay.
Do you know how you get foot ulcers?
Do I know what?
How you get foot ulcers?
Do you?
No.
Is it through diabetes?
Desensitization.
Yeah. And then you can mention it if you want. Okay. So the consequences of high blood pressure, going into that further, so we've got fat in the vessels, leads to a heart pain, and then as you can see, the individual here is having a heart attack, and yeah. So has anybody had struggles managing any of this? Or would you say you guys are okay? So like in terms of management of these things, like diabetes, would you have any problems at the moment? You don't, as in like in terms of the factors that can lead to diabetes, so like diet and things like that? No?
Well, I think I eat fruits and all that, but I think it's difficult to know exactly if it's affecting or not.
If it's affecting?
I do exercise and all that, and I check the glucose level. It seems to be okay, so I just went to, I think I've increased the amount of fruits that day, but I think I've spread it out. with
You don't have it all in one go.
not in one.
Okay.
I have a little this.
Yeah, that's important too.
Yeah, and the afternoon, giving me at night.
Okay. I think it's important to touch upon that actually. So there's a study recently which I saw where a man had the exact same meal. Once he had the meal just before he went to sleep. Another time he had the meal, I forgot the exact time, but it was a couple of hours before he went to sleep. And then the blood sugars were measured during his sleep. The time he had it just before he went to sleep, his blood sugars were sky high. And the time where he spaced it out before he slept, it was a lot lower than normal control. Why do we think that is?
Because he didn't give his body the chance to kind of process the food. You go to sleep, your body's slowing down.
Yeah, so like when he's awake, he's still active, he's still moving around, he's using that energy up. If I've just eaten and straight away fell asleep, that energy is just sitting there. I'm not moving, I'm not burning any energy, so it's just your blood sugar just stays high. You haven't got the added facility of your body moving around.
For your body.
Okay, so we'll just quickly go through the remaining slides as I know we're running a little bit behind. If you're on this slide. So just some more reminders. So I'll just quickly read them out for you. O children of Adam, take your adornment, so your clothing, at every masjid, and eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess. Saying, eat from the good things we have provided for you, but do not transgress in them, or my wrath will befall you. And whoever my wrath befalls is certainly doomed. O humanity, eat from what is lawful and good on the earth, and do not follow shaitan's footsteps. He is truly your sworn enemy. So, Allah loves His creation so much that He's concerned even with what we're putting into our bodies. So everything, every fiber of our body, all of our muscles, bones, lungs, liver, brain, are made from the raw product that we feed it. So if we provide the factory with junk food, raw products, the factory won't produce tough bones, strong muscles, good heart, or like vessels. So you are what you eat, literally. Okay, so the heart in the Quran and Sunnah. So fasting Ramadan is a prime example of how we can overcome the cravings and hunger. It's a good time to reset. So just, I'm sure like we all have some sort of food habit. We all go into Ramadan telling ourselves that, okay, after Ramadan I'm going to stop. So for me it was relying too much on coffee in the mornings. I use Ramadan, obviously you can't drink coffee in the morning. I got used to not having coffee and now I'm okay. So it's just an example of how you can use it to your benefit. So fasting is also shown to regulate blood sugar levels and gives your body enough time to rest and regenerate between eating, and that's significantly linked to a reduction in cancer markers. So we can say it's cancer reducing. Okay? So obviously every month you have your 3 days which you can fast as a sunnah. So it's a good idea.
That's very beneficial.
Yeah. It's amazing, like you can see like.
It feels better.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do 3 days, at least minimum 3 days, with 6 days of Shawwal and all that.
Your body just feels that you're clearing it out.
Yeah, when you fast, it's better.
Exactly. And you get the ajr as well. So it's a win-win.
And something before you eat, if you say Bismillah on the morsel that you're eating,
yeah.
Say Bas, well, it's burger from us.
Exactly.
And it does good for you and for your body.
Yeah. So some habits that we should do. So literally, as you were just saying, first you should wash your hands before and after eating. So the Prophet ﷺ said, blessing in food lies in washing the hand before and after eating. And then we should mention the name of Allah before eating. When one of you eats a meal, let him begin in the name of Allah. So in a day and age where many of us are conscious of proper hygiene and sanitary practices, we are all aware of the benefits of like washing our hands before and after eating. So it's something that the Prophet ﷺ used to instruct us to do, and it's the best way to wash away any harmful germs and bacteria that can reduce our risk of getting any sickness from that as well. So a few more. So okay, we've gone on the topic of eating in moderation. So the Prophet ﷺ said, a human being fills no worse vessel than his stomach. It is sufficient for a human being to eat a few mouthfuls to keep his spine straight, but if he must fill it, then fill it with 1/3 of food, 1/3 for drink, and 1/3 for air. I'm sure we've all heard this one before. Again, another big thing that I feel like is quite normalized, especially in countries like this. So we shouldn't waste food. So the Prophet ﷺ said, should the Messenger of Allah not wipe his hands with towel until he has licked his fingers, for he does not know in what portion of the food the blessing lies. Sorry, I don't know if that was narrated by the Prophet ﷺ, so don't take that from me. But the saying is. So wasting food isn't just throwing away leftovers on your plate, but also eating more than you need to. So for me, I would have looked at wasting food as in, like, let's say I'm eating and there's a couple of chips on the plate, I'll just throw that in the bin. I would have thought that. But as we can see here, it's also seen as overeating. And that completely changed my outlook on it. Many people think by eating up all the leftovers, they're preventing it from going in the bin. But in reality, by doing this, you're also treating yourself like a bin.
From when we were kids, like, you know, the food that we put on our plate, my dad didn't let us get up until we
finish
our plate. And it disciplined you, when you put the food on your plate that you know you're going to eat. Never put any extra on there.
And you did that lesson as well, I think.
Yeah. And then I remember going to a wedding in Pakistan. So I'm born and raised here. So I've only been to Pakistan 3 times. And I went to one of these buffet places. And I was shocked.
The amount of wastage. Yeah, it's so sad.
And not that you should kind of judge by the way, you know, some people look, but you look at some people who, you know, like, look really religious, got the beard, got everything, but like the waste and the food and stuff, just shocking.
100%. 100%. So things that we shouldn't be consuming. So all 3 of these lead to cancer. So you have alcohol, extremely unhealthy, high in sugar, detrimental to mental health, causes liver failure, weight gain, heart failure, stroke due to high blood pressure. We know the risk of smoking can lead to cardiovascular disease, badly affects the lung, can cause a really bad, nasty cough. You're going to require inhalers. A lot of people eventually can't walk without having to sit down every couple of steps, and then you can eventually become hospitalized and die. Then there's a very popular thing in today's age is people having shisha. So 1 hour of shisha is the equivalent of having 80 cigarettes. 80 cigarettes. Vape pens, yes, they are more recent. Yes, we don't know the exact causes of them, but we do know that they are harmful. They're containing so many unknown and unsafe and cheap, poorly manufactured chemicals. So there's no long-term impact documented because they're new, obviously, but if we're using common sense here, like,
toxins in them.
Exactly.
Toxins are damaging to you. So,
exactly.
You know, it was on the news last night, actually.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, vaping.
Yeah, it's the modern day cigarette, I'd say. So they have nicotine in them as well, which can make them addicting. There's been reports of them causing a lot of mouth ulcers and infections in young people. And a very unknown one with shisha. It's a bit of a weak study, but nevertheless, it highlights that it could be a problem. It's actually caused infertility in men, shisha, which isn't permanent and can be reversible, but it just shows like these things are bad for you and they can affect you in so many ways that you wouldn't expect something like that to affect you. Do you have anything to add? Good. Do you have anything to add? Okay. So, next slide, please. So the foods that we should consume. So the Prophet ﷺ lived a very moderate and healthy lifestyle. The foods he ate and recommended have come to be known in modern science today as some of the healthiest foods that there are. So cucumbers. So the Prophet used to eat kitha. Arabic. Sheikh, do you speak Arabic? Kitha? Kitha. How do you say cucumber in Arabic?
Cucumber khiyar.
Okay, so you see I've butchered the pronunciation completely. With ripe dates. So cucumbers are made up of 95% of water. This makes them great to eat on hot summer's days, but to keep, not only to eat on hot summer's days, but to also keep hydrated. There's other reasons to eat cucumbers as well. They're a good source of vitamin A, B, C, potassium, iron, and magnesium. Barley, Aisha radiallahu anha said, when a member of the family of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ would fall sick, he would order that barley soup is made, and then the ill person would be commanded to have some of it. He used to say it strengthens the heart of the sad person and relieves the heart of the ill person, just as one of you would wash the dirt off her face with water.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
like a soup made from barley.
Likewise. Antibiotics. Yes,
I've never heard of that.
yeah. So barley soup. Barley is extremely healthy.
Is that common in the Middle East?
Which is
Soup made from barley? Is that common?
nowadays not lots of people use it.
We call it talbeen, I think. Talbeen?
Talbeen is not.
Is that barley, isn't it?
Yeah, it's barley, yeah.
Talbeen is what?
Yeah, but it's not common.
So it's extremely healthy barley. It's nutrient dense. It's loaded with vitamins and minerals. Is a rich source of antioxidants and has high fiber content. It has loads of health benefits. It's most well known for lowering the risk of heart disease and diabetes. So incorporate some barley, inshallah. Olive oil. I'm sure we've all heard of olive oil. So the Prophet ﷺ said, eat the olive oil and use it as an ointment because it is produced by a blessed tree. Olive oil is well known truly for its amazing benefits. The Mediterranean diet, have you guys heard of the Mediterranean diet? It's a very popular diet recommended amongst a lot of dietitians. It's known for its liberal use of extra virgin olive oil, which is associated with low cholesterol, few instances of heart disease and very low obesity rates. It's filled with essential fatty acids that not only protect your heart, but protect your brain as well. So we're all aware of, like, you can have unhealthy fats and healthy fats too, yeah? Okay. Next, we have dates. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if somebody takes some ajwa dates every morning, he will not be affected by poison or magic on that day till night. It's narrated Al-Bukhari. Dates are packed full of vitamins, minerals and fiber and make for a great alternative to sugar as they are naturally very sweet. They are also packed with massive benefits such as relief from constipation, intestinal disorders and diarrhea. They may even protect against certain cancers. Next we have watermelon. So it's narrated in Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi that the Prophet ﷺ said to eat watermelon with ripe dates, saying, the hotness of this substance, dates, neutralizes the coolness of that watermelon. Watermelon is one of my favorite fruits, and although I don't need an excuse to eat, the benefits are amazing. Like on a hot day like this, we all know a good watermelon.
My son wants to know why have you got watermelon on the screen? I've got a picture of it.
I'll take that feedback for the next one, inshallah. Next we have honey. So that's described as a healing source in the Quran. So we have, and the Lord inspired the bee, saying, take your habitations in the mountains and in the trees and in what they erect. Then eat of all fruits and follow the ways of your Lord made easy for you. There comes forth from their bellies a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for men. Verily in this is indeed a sign for people who think. It's also mentioned as one of the foods of paradise. The description of paradise which the pious have been promised is that in it are rivers of water, the taste and smell of which are not changed, rivers of milk which the taste never changes, rivers of wine, delicious to those who drink, and rivers of clarified honey, clear and pure. Obviously, be careful, don't give honey to children less than 1 due to infantile botulism. Yeah, botulism. So we've spelled that, I don't know. But yeah, don't give honey to children less than 1.
There's something else.
Okay, so we're nearly done now. So just some Islamic ways, like we all know, life is very busy. It can be hard to fit in hours and hours of things that will help. So just some ways to add some healthy factors to your life that will make a difference. So for example, when you come to the masjid, rather than driving a few minutes, maybe just walk instead. When you're doing your dhikr, maybe go on like a 10k steps challenge where you'll go and walk and you'll do your dhikr both in the same time, and you'll find that it passes time while you're doing something beneficial. With children, play with your children, play like some activities with them, get active with them. And family bonding sports as well is another good idea. And set intentions. So yeah, if we could ask everyone to pick out one challenge for themselves in terms of all of this. We'll start with you, Sheikh.
Actually, the most thing I miss is walking to the masjid.
Walking to the masjid.
There is reason. I just move houses, and yeah.
Otherwise,
I was his neighbor.
he was trundling around.
How far did you live before?
It's a good 10 minutes walk.
Okay.
Not far.
Oh, okay. And now? Too far
Now
away.
it's around 20 minutes.
That's all right.
Even better, even better.
It's longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the time.
These 20 minutes also very right.
No, it's not that problem. The problem,
It's getting the timings to get here and coming back and forth.
and when I come to the masjid, that's the funny one. There is 3 masajid in my way.
Oh, subhanAllah.
So in my masjid, people they see I'm passing the first masjid. So that's the.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brother.
I need to get that back there.
The walking, inshallah. Okay. Brother, what about you? A challenge for yourself?
The mine is walking down the masjid.
Okay, inshallah.
Normally I aim for 10,000 steps a day.
10,000? Okay, so this will help you get that, inshallah.
And, I do manage it, especially if I walk to my masjid. It's 2,000 each way, so
Okay, there you go.
5 times.
That's 1/5 of it done. Bilal?
For me, it would be the physical activity, like sports,
Okay.
regularly. Mostly walking is part of my routine every day. So I do.
Okay, good. Siam?
I think I definitely eat a bit too much because yeah, whenever I'm hungry, or it's more like whenever I'm bored, I'll just eat because I don't know what else to do. So I did notice like when I'm occupying myself a lot more, if I'm busy, then I don't feel that hungry anymore. So yeah, I don't think I need to eat as much as I do.
And yeah, touching on that, I don't know if you guys find like when you eat too much, especially in the first half of the day, do you feel like it ruins the remainder of your day in terms of clarity, and like do you feel a bit sluggish afterwards and that you're thinking a bit slower? Yeah.
It does,
Yeah. So recently I don't really have breakfast. I have a very, very light breakfast. It's usually just like maybe a coffee or maybe just an apple or something like that for the first quarter of the day. And I feel that helps me just keep more energy. I don't feel like I need to have a meal. When I have a meal at the beginning of the day, I feel like it slows me down. Okay, so that brings us towards the end. Does anyone have any questions? Or we're okay?
Some good reminders there.
Okay. Well, Jazakallah khairan for attending and for listening. Please keep us in your du'as, inshallah.